We're the Paper Guides from Melbourne, Australia, and it's a pleasure to be here playing for you tonight. In the morning when and the sun's coming through, oh, you fill my lungs with sweetness, and you fill my head with you.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
We're well. Yeah, we're good.
Good.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. How was your tour so far? Like, you've been to Poland already, I guess,
Yeah.
and Prague.
Yeah, it's been
How was
unreal. Yeah, it's really exciting because we're not only playing shows most nights, but we're also feel like tourists here for the first time for many of us. So
Yeah.
every night we're playing shows in a new city, but along the way we're trying to see as much as we can and try and learn a bit of language and learn some history as much as we can. So it's really exciting.
And what about the concerts? How do they feel like here in Europe? Is it very different from Australian concerts or in the US or Canada?
One thing I'd say about the shows in Europe so far is that everyone's very respectful and very thankful for a band who's come all the way from somewhere like Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking to people afterwards, everyone seems to have a concept of travel and a concept of what it means, like how far it is from Australia to here, and everyone's always really interested about where we come from, and as we are interested to about Europe and all the places here.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about your music. So your style of music is very not easy to put into one genre or just one style. How would you describe your music in 5 words? Maybe.
There's a phrase that I heard once. Someone explained our music. I'm just trying to count how many words is in the phrase. Excuse me if it's not 5. But the best description I ever heard was folk-inspired indie guitar pop.
Okay.
Which sounds a bit odd, but it kind of does make sense to me. It is. We started out as an acoustic indie folk type band, and over the years we've brought in more electric guitars and keyboards and things like that. And I guess folk-inspired indie guitar pop kind of makes some kind of sense. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Would you
pretty
agree?
good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky. A lot of bands, us included, it's tricky to kind of label it or put it in a box. And especially if you look at us over the years, every release has been quite different, and each release has been based on where we're at and what we're listening to and what we've been doing. As time passes, our kind of styles and our tastes and our preferences have changed as well. And so some people, when they first listen to us, might hear one of our they'll listen to Bloom, which is like a very early, very acoustic song, and then listen to our latest single, Electric Indigo, and say, hang on, it's not the same band. But if you listen to it all in chronological order, all the music, you can see a progression, and it kind of makes sense to us, I think.
Yeah. It does to us anyway.
It makes sense to us, yeah.
Okay. You also once twittered, that's a little bit longer ago, but you said to be a great musician, you have to be outstanding in your field. What would you say makes you outstanding in your field compared to others, maybe, and to indie folk bands?
Wow. Well, something that meeting when I first met Sam and Christina and heard them sing together, I thought that the most noticeable thing to me was the way they sing together, and I think vocal melodies have always been what's always set us apart as a band. The harmonies and melodies and everything is, all the music I think is it's just a vessel for the lyrics and the melody and the harmonies. I think vocals and has always been one of the best things about our band, I think. And even now when I'm listening back to a live concert or referencing something, it always stands out to me and I'm always happy to listen to Sam and Christina sing. Like they've got such beautiful voices, and I think if I wasn't in the band, would be something that I would come to a show to listen to those guys sing. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I want to talk to you about your new album, Twelvefour. So maybe you can explain the concept behind the album to our viewers briefly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And the intention behind it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the concept, I still remember when it was Sam's idea, and he kind of mentioned it to us mid last year, and which we thought it was a bit crazy. Basically, he said to us, "I want to write every single song for the album between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m." I think one of our first responses was, "Do you expect us to be up those hours as well? Because we'll fall asleep." But he basically changed his body clock for about 2 months and kind of sleep all morning, wake up, and then once midnight would hit, he would start writing. And then once 4 a.m. would hit, if he hadn't already passed out on his piano, he would stagger to bed. And so he wrote every single song. He wrote about 30 songs, and we started learning some and crossed some off, and really liked some of the ones, and eventually worked our way down to the album. So everything was written kind of in the middle of the night, and I guess his intention for that, he was curious. He'd heard it talked about that an artist's most creative time is in the middle of the night, between 12 and 4, and he liked the idea that perhaps while he was writing in those hours, his better judgment, which normally kind of dictates the way that he writes, might actually start to be clouded, and it might actually expose a new part of him, new part of his mind, his creative mind, to kind of bring out new things. Where normally during the day he would say, "Oh no, I can't do that. That's too crazy," or "I can't say that." In the middle of the night, he wanted to be as honest and raw as possible, and I think as a result, that you can hear in the songs kind of an honesty, which I think they're probably some of the most honest, lyrically, some of the most honest songs that he's written so far, and stylistically, a lot of them sound kind of lush and dreamy and dark. It kind of sounds, once you know the concept, you can hear it. I remember listening to the demos that he recorded last year and thinking, some of these songs sound a little bit sleepy, but a lot of them, really have a great element to them that he hadn't really tapped before.
Yeah. So what was your first thought when he presented the idea to you?
Yeah.
Did you thought like, he won't do this, he will stop sometime?
No, I've always said about Sam that he's one who follows through on an idea. So if there's a concept or an idea that he has, even if it's a place that he wants to go to get dinner, or if it's a creative concept for an album, once he has the idea in his head, he'll follow through with it.
There's no stopping him.
And he almost like obsesses over the idea until he's sort of seen it to completion, or at least given it a go. So I think for this album, he just did such a good job. Like, while the rest of us were sleeping normally and being awake during the day, he was awake all night and keeping some of his family awake at the same time.
How could you support him in this way? Where, like, I don't know.
Well,
did you try to be awake as long as you needed? No, we never tried.
No one showed up. No one showed up to the studio or anything. He wanted to sort of do it in solitary, I guess, and we just check in with him, see how he's going, and he sent through like 15 songs, and then sent through another 15, and it was cool when we finally all got together and talked about the songs, and but yeah, it was interesting. Like our first reactions were all very different, and I had the first list of 15, and I remember hearing the first song I heard was
Silent Cause.
A Silent Cause, which I think is naturally what I would expect from Sam, and is, you know, maybe a song that sounds like, you know, the Paper Kites that everyone knows, the acoustic folk sound. And as I got further through the demos, you know, we started thinking like, oh, okay, like it's getting kind of crazy, you know. He really has been experimenting here.
Okay, cool. Which song do you think would like represent this feeling the most, like this night creativity? Or do you have one favorite song maybe from the album?
I think there's a few different songs I think that perhaps represent different elements of the nighttime. I think sonically, Too Late, the last song on the album, it's a kind of slow, dreamy song that eventually kind of picks up, but it kind of drags along and takes a while to build. I think sonically that kind of captures the nighttime, the sounds and the feel of it. But then, I mean, a couple of the two, there's Electric Indigo and Revelator Eyes, and to me those songs capture perhaps not so much the sleepy side of the night, but perhaps the more, I don't know, adventurous side of, you know, nighttime, people out and about exploring colours and sounds and that kind of thing. And I think different songs kind of represent different elements of nighttime.
Okay, so what are your plans for the future? Is there a new album planned, maybe with a concept like Twelvefour, or a new tour in Australia? Somewhere else?
I don't think we're thinking about the next album just yet. I mean, we've only just released this one, and there's so much work that goes into releasing an album. You kind of need a break from all of that once it's out. I think it was be touring. So we're enjoying our first shows here in Europe at the moment. We'll go back to Australia and have a couple of festivals and a few shows there, and then I guess for the rest of the year there'll be some announcements coming up that we plan on returning to Europe and North America and playing more shows there and spreading the album and trying to meet as many people as we can on the way as well.
Yeah, and the plan for the moment is just eat some more bratwurst, beer.
Sounds like a good plan.
And then we'll go from there.
That's the short-term goal for tonight.
Short-term goals, yeah.
Cool. Okay, then thank you for taking some time for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For your concert, and have fun tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I take you to a moment where the fields are playing gold?